which is why this is just an absurd automation. So I've shown you guys automations that can edit videos, find any leads that you want, and write brand new emails for you, and even upload those videos automatically. But today, what I'm gonna show you guys is my most powerful marketing automation that I've built to date. It literally turns Instagram into Insta sales. Before we get into this automation, let me show you guys exactly how this works and why. So the automation you guys are gonna be learning today automates all the leads that you generate on Instagram and creates the video that then gets uploaded and handles those leads and sells whatever product or service that you're offering. And so the type of content that we're gonna be making today is a marketing method called text over screen. Perfect case study that I have for you guys today is this influencer named Micho. Now Micho only posts text over screen content on Instagram. And that's what you guys are gonna learn how to do today, but we're gonna do it in an automation that does it all for us. So we're gonna level up what he's doing already in his content plan. But the reason why I'm showing you guys Micho is because he's using this text over screen method and he's literally extracting all of the value from it. So the stats for 2024 for Micho is he's uploaded 3,000 videos. It generated him 300,000 followers. And in my estimation, he made around $500,000 in revenue just by using this ManyChat text over screen automation. And we are going to recreate this strategy perfectly within this automation. And what's really cool is that there's two ways that we can use it. So today we're going to be using AI generated videos that I'm going to show you how to make of yourself. But you can also just use videos that you have filmed of yourself. And examples of those videos are like these right here of Micho. All he's doing is literally just posting videos with a text on screen. And sometimes these text on screens captions, they have a call to action that is selling his product and service. And so in our example, I'm going to run you guys through not just how to make this automation, but then how to put the call to action on screen. And so what we're going to be selling today is how we're going to get people into our premium no code academy using this method. So before we get into the full step-by-step tutorial of this automation, there's two things I want to let you guys know about. The first thing is that the entire blueprint is available on my school community. So literally all you have to do is head over to the premium academy. You head into the classroom, you go and you find whatever automation you want to download. You grab whatever blueprint that you want to download from whatever automation tutorial you're watching, and you literally can just open these up on your own make.com software. Basically all you would have to do is just click download. You would then get this JSON file and you can literally just open it up in make.com. And last but not least, guys, there is a video precursor because what we're going to be using this video is an AI fine-tuned image generation model that creates images of us that we then turn into videos. And so this video tutorial that I uploaded here of how to make these custom AI models is the tutorial that you need to learn before this video. So if you've already done that, you're good to go. If not, just watch this step-by-step tutorial on how to do that and then join me back here and we can get started. Before we actually get into the entire build out, let me show you exactly how this works. So we're going to fill up our Airtable database with all of the different captions and text over screen copywriting that we want in this example. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that, and then we'll pull each one of these records one by one, and we're going to do that with this increment function. From there, we're going to send all of the information to our image prompt. And so this ChatGPT is going to create an image prompt based on the caption that we give it. Then that prompt is going to be sent to our image generator that's trained on how we look. So this is a fine-tuned custom AI model that is fine-tuned on how we look so that it'll produce images that look exactly like us. And so with that request, we then get our end result, and then that gets uploaded to a cloud service. So then we can send that image to our video generator. So our video generator is using something called Luma Labs, and Luma Labs has a really dope API called the Dream Machine where we can turn images into videos. So in this module here, we give the AI another prompt of how to turn that image into a video, and then it'll send it through. We then put the automation to sleep because it has to create the video. We get it back. We update the Airtable with all of this new information, and we overlay the caption here with the information that we got all the way back here. So it's going to have the text overlays, the video captions, and the on-screen copy. And that is literally just going to go right in here. And by the time the video is done, it'll be uploaded in Airtable and it'll look something like this. We have the video with no captions. We have the image that was generated. Then we also got the final video. So this final video that we got here, guys, is completely 100% AI generated. It's just super, super high quality. So take a look. So this is just one example of what we're going to be doing again and again and again every single day on Instagram with a call to action. And so the description of your video is also very important, because the caption that's on the screen is supposed to get people to read your description, because that's where you're actually going to sell your product or service. And so we have this entire thing now laid out, and you understand how things work. The next step that we can add on to that is actually running an automatic upload. And so we go back into our all data database here, we're going to be getting these videos back. And so when we review these videos and we're satisfied with the video, we can actually just click run upload. And then that'll send it to this upload trigger, and then it'll actually run the second automation that we need to actually create the post on Instagram, as you guys can see here. And so now that you guys know how this looks, we're going to start everything off by building out our Airtable database. So here we are in our Airtable database. We're going to rename it to Instagram Auto Sales AI Edition. Because like I said, there's two ways that we can actually use this exact same automation. It's with AI videos and with the videos that you have already generated. Now the first column here, guys, is going to be an auto number. So we named it an ID, and the field that we selected it as is an auto number. And that's going to help us keep track of every single row in the database. And this field is going to be the caption that's on the screen. So we're going to write on screen caption. It's going to be a long text, and we're going to click save. The next one is going to be video description. And this is where we can not just add our description, but we can also add in our hashtags. And so in this example, guys, the on-screen caption that I'm going to write is this AI automation, read description on how I did this. And then the video description would actually then explain it, right? So then we would change this to a long text. We would click save. And then this would be like, I built an AI automation that turns Instagram into Insta sales. Comment the word start. And so that word start is what we call our trigger word for the other side of the automation, where we handle using this thing called ManyChat. And so that's something we're going to talk about at the end of the video. We're not just doing a content producing automation, but we're also on the back end handling the leads and converting those leads into paying customers, which is why this is just an absurd automation, because it does literally an end-to-end process. And this is essentially one of our first full-end marketing agents that you guys have access to. So the next one is going to be the image that first Flux AI model generates, because we want to see how the image comes out, and we don't want any bad images, right? So we want to keep fine-tuning things. And so we're going to write Flux image response. And this will be an attachment. Click save. Then we're going to get the video back, but with no captions overlaid. So we're just going to write video, no captions. This will also be an attachment, and create field. We're then going to get the final video back that adds the on-screen caption with the video with no captions. And so we're then going to write final video. This will be an attachment as well. I'm going to create field. Now we're going to add in our triggers for the next layer of the automation, which is actually uploading the video. So we're going to write upload with a question mark, and this is going to be a checkbox field. I'm going to create field. And now to help us keep track of every single one of our rows even better, we're going to add a record ID. So we're going to write in record, capital ID. We're going to write formula. We're going to open that up, and we're going to write rec. We're going to pull that up, and we're just going to close that brackets. And all that does, guys, is it just pulls up each one of the records in the Airtable, so we know, if something goes wrong, we can kind of figure out where it went wrong. And last but not least, guys, we're going to add another checkbox field, but this one, instead of upload, it's going to ask if it's already been uploaded, and that'll be another question mark, and then we'll click save. Okay, so we have basically everything that we need in this part of the Airtable. Okay, so we're actually going to name this grid to all data. And then we're going to open up another grid, and this grid's going to be called run upload with a question mark. And then in this run upload grid, we're going to click this filter button, and we're going to add some conditions. So the first condition is on-screen caption is not empty, and video description is not empty, and final video is not empty, and upload checkbox is checked off. And so when a row meets all of these filters, that means we want it to be uploaded on Instagram. And so right now, none of these rows meet that filter. So when we get our final video back and we check off this upload field, then it'll actually automatically upload on Instagram. And I'll show you guys obviously how that works as well. But in the meantime, this so far looks pretty good. We're gonna add an automation in a bit, but right now we can actually start building out our first make.com scenario. So we're just going to click create new scenario, and we're going to call this Instagram auto sales 1 out of 2. Okay. So when we run this automation at scale, guys, there's going to be 100 different captions that you guys can come up with, right? So this one's talking about how I generated views. Then the next one could be like how I generated sales. Then the next one could be like how I'm making apps. Then the next one could be like how I'm doing no code. And these are all the same topic, but they're slightly different descriptions of things. And so the way that we handle all of these different rows is that in our make automation, the first thing we're going to do is set an increment function. And so this increment function here, it grabs each row one at a time, because if we were to call this database without this function, it would call the entire database, and that's not what we want. We want to call it one at a time. And so this increment function does that, and then we can pull the information from the Airtable that we want. We actually got to now search for the records that we want to be pulling, right? So this number here is going to be going one at a time. So we go here and we run this automation, guys. You'll be able to see that it'll pull up a number, and this number here is 1 because it's the first time we ran it. And so this number will correspond to this number in the Airtable. And so I hope that's starting to connect, right? So every single time that number is pulled, it'll pull that row along with it. And so if we go in here, we can now make this connect to each other, and we can search for the records. So the base that we opened up is going to be called Instagram Auto Sales 2, and this should have our AI edition database, and this should have table 1. Okay, perfect. So now we get to choose what output fields we want to actually pass through. And so we're going to pass through the ID, we're going to pass through the on-screen caption, the video description, and we're going to pass through the record ID. In our formula here, guys, we can see that this primary field here is called ID, and this is where our auto numbers live, right? And so when we go back to our automation, we can go curly brace ID, curly brace equals the number that we get from the increment function. And so that in this case would be 2. And so we're going to click OK. And so the next time we run this number will be 3. And so if we go back to our database, we'll see that 3 is empty. So we can just copy in the same information just so this automation works. And when we run this, it now pulled that information through. So now we have 3, and it pulled in the on-screen caption, the video description, the record ID, and the auto number. So now everything's good to go for our next step. So we're just going to click save, and then we'll move on. All right, guys, so next up is our actual first prompt where we use ChatGPT. So this ChatGPT element is actually going to be what creates the image prompt. And so in this example, guys, we're going to open up a create completion module. Pretty cool now that they have the O1 system as an API function, which is really cool. But in this case, we're not doing anything super high level. So we're just going to keep it with the GPT 4.0, and we're going to add in a message. So the message is going to be coming from the user, and I'm just going to go back to my previous automation, and we're going to grab that prompt. So basically we're just going to grab this, and we're going to copy it in, and you guys are going to have all of this in the in your blueprint already. But basically what this prompt is saying is that you're going to be creating a prompt for an image to be created based on my topic of the video. And so this topic of the video is talking about how I generated 2.5 million views using this automation. And so we're going to be using this workflow to produce content that'll persuade the viewer into joining our AI program. And so I want the AI to create a high-level prompt based on the topic of the video, and we're going to give it the topic of the video because that's what the on-screen copy is. And so here we're going to pass in our video description or our on-screen caption. And so here we're going to pass in both, right? So we're going to go here and here. So now it gets both pieces of context. And so now we're just saying we want it to respond with a high-level prompt. And there's a couple important things, right? We want to make sure that the response is only the prompt, because if it adds anything else, then this thing won't work. So we have to let it know about that, okay? And we have sometimes even have to let it know about that twice. But once that's done, you can just click OK. Really quick, we're going to rename this. And I like renaming my modules because then I know what I'm doing, right? So this is literally called Flux Prompt. Perfect. So now, guys, in our previous video, I showed you how to fine-tune an AI model using Replicate and using the Flux image generation API. And so If you had that completed, then this next step will work perfectly. If not, you can watch that tutorial and then come right back to this part of the tutorial. So what we're basically going to be doing, instead of sending our requests on Replicate, which is on the website, we're now going to be sending it on the API side, which is through our own automation, which is awesome because that means we don't have to ever play with this ugly looking website again, and we can just use our own automations to do this exact same thing. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to make a request to that API. So we're going to go HTTP, make a request, and the URL that we're going to be sending this to is api.replicate.com/v1/predictions. And since we're going to be putting this onto their website, we need to send this as a post method. Okay. Now, the other things you have to do is add in your API keys. And so when you're in Replicate, you can literally just go to your account and go to API tokens, and you'll be able to find that really quickly. Okay, so in the header, guys, we need to write authorization, and then we're going to paste in bearer and our API key. Make sure there's no spaces at the end of this letter because that'll mess up the authorization, and also make sure there's only one space between the bearer and the API key. Next up, we're going to add another header, and this is going to be content-type and application/JSON. Okay, then we're going to go into the body type. This is going to be raw. The content type is going to be JSON, application, JSON, and then we're just going to send in our request. And so you guys are going to have this, but I'm just going to paste it in. And so this is the actual prompt that you guys need to be sending to your own AI model to actually make the image of you. And so the only thing that you have to do to make this your own request is you got to get rid of my prompt here. You got to delete that. And then you also got to delete my HF LoRa. So this HF LoRa that you guys see here is what is trained on my face. And the way that you guys can get your own is, like in that previous tutorial, is head over to Hugging Face, go to your profile, and then you have all of your live models. And so literally all I did was I grabbed the model that I liked the most. I went back to my request and I just pasted that in. So I literally went here, got rid of this one, right? And then pasted my own in, okay? And then you just wanna make sure they're in captions, in quotes, and then you're good to go. And then the prompt will be the actual result from your ChatGPT. So we're gonna click OK, we're gonna click save. Now, while this image is generating, it takes around 10 to 15 seconds. And so we're just going to put this automation to sleep, because if we request for that image back too fast, it'll actually break the automation. So we're gonna give it a whole 30 seconds of rest, and then we're gonna go and get that image back. So we're gonna go make a request HTTP, but you guys will see now the method is going to be get instead of post. And the interesting thing about this, guys, is the actual URL is going to be here. It's actually gonna be here in this last HTTP module. So we actually can't pass anything in just yet, and we're just going to put placeholder.com, and then we'll exit out. Or I guess that doesn't even work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cancel out of this, and then we're going to actually unlink this, and then we're going to run this once. But if you guys noticed that this number is now 3, and if we ran it once, it won't actually pull anything through. So we're just going to copy these down. This is not the best way to do it, but it is what it is, right? So we're gonna go here, and go here, go here. Okay, perfect. So now we can test this out. So we're gonna run this automation once. It should have grabbed a number 4. Okay, it did. And so now it made the request to our API, and so we can actually see if that's running. So if I refresh the page, and yep, okay, so now the image is queued and it's going to be created. So that's perfect. And while that's happening, guys, you see that it's queued. That means if we went to go and request for it back, we wouldn't actually get it back, which is why we want to put it to sleep. Okay, so now that that's done, we can reconnect these two modules, and this URL should now be able to grab it. So we made one mistake here because this data has not been parsed. You see, this data is all in one big string. And so we're just gonna go back to this HTTP, and we're gonna click yes to the parse response. So now that that looks good, we're gonna now test this automation one more time. And so to make life easier for me, I'm just gonna delete this module altogether, and I'm just gonna write increment function, and I'm gonna add in a new one, because this is now gonna start at 0 again. And so we have a lot of room to play with. And so I'm just going to pass in the formula and click OK. Oh yeah, so now we're just going to unlink this one more time and run it again. And so while that's queued up, guys, we can actually see the end result of that first prompt that we did, right? And so that first prompt, we can open up that image, and bam, it's a crazy nice picture of me walking through New York City. I don't like this little handbag I'm holding, but I mean, other than that, that's pretty freaking nice. And then we're gonna turn that into a video. Okay, so that ended up firing through. So now let's plug it in. And now we can choose this URL. See how you guys, all of this information is now parsed into beautiful arrays, and we can open up this URL and click get. Perfect. So now we're going to get our video back. And in fact, guys, we're actually going to increase this delay to a whole 90 seconds because when you're testing, you want to be safe than sorry. And yeah, we don't want anything breaking just for a silly reason like that. We're going to save everything and we're going to move on. So guys, after that is probably the hardest part of this automation, where we have to send this image that we got to a cloud. And the reason why we have to do that is because Luma Labs, which is the API that turns our image to video, it can't view an image if it's not coming from a cloud service. And so we have a free cloud service that we've been using called Cloudinary. So it doesn't cost us any money at all. You just have to get Cloudinary set up, and you have to get their API key, you have to get their cloud name and their secret token. Okay, so that's gonna take you like a couple minutes, which is totally okay. Once you do set up Cloudinary, guys, they have a module set up in make.com, which makes life really easy. So if we write in Cloudinary, we'll see that it's this module here, and we're going to click upload a resource. So the file type is going to be URL where the file is stored. We can now choose the file that we have. So this is going to be in this get request here. Boom, we're going to now pass it in. Or it could be from this request here as well, but we didn't pass it in yet, and eventually it'll be coming from here. The resource type will be an image, and the rest of the stuff for now, we can just leave blank. So we're gonna click OK, we're gonna click save. And now you guys are already building out a pretty decent automation. You guys are at 7 modules, but we have another like 10 more modules to go. So now that we're at this point though, let's start renaming the stuff that we've been working on, right? So this is going to be Flux create image. This one is going to be get image, and this one's going to be send image to cloud. Okay, so now guys, we have the finished image. So now we want to send that finished image to an image to video module. So this is going to be to Luma Labs. So it's going to be another HTTP make a request. This is also going to be a post. You guys are going to paste in this URL. It's Luma Labs Dream Machine version 1. And I can't even imagine how crazy this is going to be once we get to version 2 of Dream Machine, because the quality is already pretty good. So if you guys are learning this now, like we can really start taking over once the video AI models get really good. But anyway, so you're going to add it as a post. You're going to add your headers. So this first one, we're going to write accept and application/JSON. We're going to add in another header. This one is going to be authorization. And then you're just going to paste in bearer and your API key for Luma Labs. And then the last one, guys, is going to be content-type and application/JSON. Okay, so now we're going to fill out the actual data that we're passing to this image to video API. So we're going to go into body type. We're going to click raw. We're going to go into content type. We're going to click JSON. We're going to go into request content, and we're going to paste this in. And so this prompt is very similar to the prompt that we did for the image generator, but it's just styled for Luma Labs. And basically what this is it's going to grab our image that we had. So that image, that New York City businessman on the phone image, and we're going to pass it as this URL. And that's going to be right here as a secure URL. So we're going to pass that in. And then we're going to, based off of the image that I already know, guys, and this is a tutorial, like I just manually put in the prompt. But you guys can do the exact same thing that we did with the Flux prompt here, right? If you guys remember this Flux prompt here, we can literally do the exact same thing and call it a Luma Labs prompt, right? Where it creates the video prompt itself. But I personally haven't gotten good enough at video generation prompts for me to allow a GPT to do it. So right now I'm manually doing it, because every single time I run a Luma Labs API call, it costs me like 5 to 10 cents. And so I want to make sure that every time I do it, it's good. And so that's why I'm doing it manually. Plus, we're only uploading this once a day. So, you know, there's some aspects of automations where there's still value in you doing it, in you doing some of the aspects of it yourself. And so this, in my opinion, is one of those aspects, because AI video is brand new. And okay, but this entire thing is now done. So we're just going to click parse response as yes, and we're going to click OK. And so once again, guys, right, we're going to be making a whole video. So this is going to take a while. So we're going to put this automation back to sleep, but this one's going to be for a pretty long time. So we're going to put it to sleep 180 seconds, and we're going to let that ride. So since we're sending in that make request as a post, you guys know what's going to come next. We have to get it, right? So we're going to go HTTP, make a request, and this time it's going to be get. I'm just going to paste in this URL. And so basically what's going to happen here, guys, is the data that we get back from this HTTP will be the thing that we pass in through. So it's going to be the data ID. And so we're just going to get rid of that, and we're going to type in the data, okay? Once the automation runs, then we'll actually perfect that. But for now, that looks fine. And all we have to do now is add in those headers that we need. So the first header is accept application/JSON. And the second one is your API key again. So authorization, and then you're going to do the bearer and the API key. So I'm just going to go and grab that from my finished automation that you guys have, and then we're going to paste that in. Okay, so now the headers are done, and then we're just going to click parse response as yes, and we're going to click OK. So we're just going to save this entire automation one more time, and I think we've gotten far enough where we should actually test it out and see what happens. So we should be getting our image response back, we should upload that to Cloudinary, and then we should start the API call for the video generation. So there's a chance that this breaks, and that's why you want to keep testing your automation once you add in a good amount of modules. So once again, we're going to click save, and we're going to click run once. And so the increment number that we're running is number 2. Okay, so the image generation has now started, and we're putting this baby to sleep for quite a while. So we can just double check though that this has started, and here we are in queued, so everything's still good. Okay, nice. So the get image failed, right? So we're going to open that up and see what's wrong. So it was an unauthenticated detail. You did not pass an authentication token. So we're going to open that up, and yeah, it's absolutely right. We didn't add in our headers into this flux. So that's my fault, guys. We're going to add in those APIs. So it's the same API and authorizations here. So we can literally just copy, go over here, authorization, copy, bearer, head over here and add in bearer. You can copy content type, head over here, add a new header, add that in, and application JSON, and add that in as well. And so these are going to happen, guys. These are going to happen. That's all right. We're going to run this one more time. Okay, awesome. So it was able to now get that image. So one more thing, guys, in the get image, you want to click parse response as yes and click OK, because when it got sent to Cloudinary, it was not able to actually like break down the actual call. So we're just going to click save and run that one more time. Now our error is at Cloudinary, which is good because it's an error that we did on purpose because we didn't have the actual data that we could have passed through, but now we do. So we're going to get rid of this. We're going to click this output, and we're going to click this 1. So this is the actual image now that is going to be sent to Cloudinary. So now this entire up to Cloudinary is working, but we are at number 4 with our auto number. So we're just going to, again, delete this, add a new increment function, click OK, map in that increment function in this step here, click OK, and then this whole thing should now work. Okay, so it got past the Cloudinary step, it sent it to Luma Labs, and now it's actually creating that image. So we can open this up, we can see that the status is now queued, so that means there was no issues. All is looking good, guys. If you made it this far, man, you're crushing it, because this, I mean, to get to this step, it literally took me like 2 days. So guys, one hack that people don't know about how to fix your make automations by yourself is, let's say you run into an error that you don't know, right? You can literally just go here, click export blueprint, and then that'll literally give you the blueprint in real time. Then you can go to whatever large language model you like, you can open it up, and you can literally just be like, hey, what's wrong with my workflow on make.com? And then you can literally just open up that blueprint and paste it in. The beautiful thing is that it actually is able to analyze the entire automation, which is really dope. Okay guys, so the entire automation has been completed, and the last module is where the error is. But again, this error is because we didn't map any information in, because we didn't get any of the information yet, right? So now that we officially have the information, the only thing that you add to this URL is this ID right here. Boom, just put that baby in. And now it'll be able to grab the actual end video. So now that we know that this step's gonna work, we can actually update all of that information, the image we made, the video we made, and put that all back into Airtable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into Airtable, we're gonna click update a record. I'm gonna choose an account, and that's going to be the Instagram auto sales number 2. Out of base, scroll to the bottom, AI edition, grant access. Okay, so now we can open up the base. We're gonna open up table 1. We're going to pass that record ID that we got all the way back in search records back here. We're going to add in, we already have our on-screen caption. We already have our video description. We're going to add in our flux image response. And so that's going to be in the Cloudinary. So in the Cloudinary, we're going to pass in the secure URL. In the video with no captions, it would have been this one right here. So we're just going to go 12. We're just going to click data for now, but we're going to have to fix that one more time, but that's okay. And the final video is not done yet. So that's all we're going to pass through for now. We're going to click OK. We're going to click save. And right now, in terms of our auto number, we are sitting at auto number 1. So now we can just run this entire automation one more time, and we should get this entire thing completed. Okay, guys, so now the actual video was completed. So we got a success of 200. That means we got the video back. So the reason why this Airtable failed, guys, is because, like we said, we didn't actually map in that final video because we didn't get the final video. So now we can actually map in that final video. So we're just going to go into request. Sorry, we're going to go into assets. And we're just going to pass in that video. And so now every single thing will be populated back in the Airtable. You can click save. And so now we're almost done, guys. The last thing we have to do is grab that finished video and overlay it with that captions that we want. And so that's done with this tool called JSON to Video. And all of my editing automations use JSON to Video because they literally have every type of edit that you can possibly use in like CapCut, for example, or like Adobe Premiere Pro, but now they converted it to JSON code. So you can literally like make a zoom in effect, add text on screen, add captions, do like a whole bunch of different things. And in this example, we're going to be adding the text on screen. So it's going to be a little bit different than the level 1 automations that you guys already have access to. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add another module, and this one is called JSON to Video. Luckily, they already have a module system set up for Make, so that's awesome. And so all we're going to be doing is clicking create a movie from JSON. They have a free setup as well. So like everything in this video for you guys today is going to be free. And then once it's completely done, you can upgrade if you'd like. So that's awesome. And so I'm just going to paste in the same code that I used in my finished version. So I'm just going to grab that and I'm going to paste it in. Now there's a couple of things I want to talk about here though before we move on, right? Because there's so much customization on JSON to Video that it's not worth my time to actually show you all the types of customizations. But in this example, guys, we're doing a text on screen. And so this text on screen, you can place it wherever you want in this array here. You can choose the size of the font. You can choose the type of font. You can choose the color of the font. And you can choose if there's a background color that's on top of the font as well. So we're going to keep it as simple as possible for now because we're trying to get the functionality to work. Anyways, what we're going to be passing as the video will be the final video that we receive from Airtable. And so that will be right here as a URL. And then the text on screen will be the exact same thing because this updated record is going to also have that text on screen. But since we don't have it right now, we can actually grab it all the way back from this first search records. So here, this text is going to be this on-screen caption, and we're just going to pass it in. And so now we're going to be combining, as you guys see, this final video with the on-screen caption, and it should give us our final video. And so when we get our final video, we want to actually receive it. So this was a request to actually create the video. Now we need to make a request to actually get the video back. Like we've been doing with all of the steps in our automation, when we make a call, we have to put this to sleep. And so this doesn't take too long because it's just adding text on top of an already made video. So we're just going to put 20 seconds as the time delay. And this next thing here that we're going to be doing is receiving the actual JSON video. We're going to click check a movie status. And this is really nice because all you really have to do is pass the project ID that's from that previous step. So we're just going to click project ID and click OK. And so this module here will actually have that final video. And then all we have to do is pass it to Airtable, and then we're completely done with the first part of the automation. So we're going to go into Airtable. We're going to click update a record by its ID. I'm going to click that base, AI addition. I'm going to click the table 1. We're going to pass in that record ID all the way back from the beginning. Boom. And then we're going to pass in that final video as well. So that final video is going to be coming from this JSON to Video check a movie status. So within that check a movie status, there's that URL to the generated video, and we're going to paste that in. And we're going to click OK. So we're going to save. And if this works, we should get all of this information back in our Airtable, and then this first part is completely finished, and we can then get into auto uploading. So let's see how that looks, and then let's also see how the video looks at the end as well. So let's click run. basically what we're going to be looking for, guys, is the Airtable to have the image, the video without the captions, and the video with the captions all in the same row that also has the video captions and the description of the video. If it has been updated back to the Airtable, we don't have to touch this automation for the rest of this tutorial. So I know you guys are struggling through this. Okay, perfect. So I know you guys have been struggling through this because you have to wait through all of these modules. And so by the time you get to this end of the automation and you run into an error, it could take like 10 minutes to solve each one of those issues. So anyways, we got this completely done. So now we're going to click save. We're going to go back to our Airtable, and this was number 4. So we can now see that it has inputted the flux image response. So we can see what that looks like. Really, really dope. We can look at the video with no captions. All right, so this is without any on-screen captions. Looks really, really good. And then we can actually see the final video that has the on-screen captions and has the video overlaid. So that is all good to go. Now, obviously, there's some fine tuning that can be done with the video because like my face started to morph at the end, but the functionality is what is really more important because like I said, guys, there's 2 types of ways we could do this automation. We could do this with AI videos, or we could do this with videos that you have already generated. And so the AI videos are about to take the entire mainstream because that quality is only going to get better. But for the short term, when you're doing it in your day-to-day life right now, you can be doing it with already made videos. But regardless, guys, now we have an entire row that has all of the necessary requirements for this run upload automation to actually start. And so if we go into the run upload automation, we'll see that there's no records in view. But if we go back to the all data and we check off upload and we go back to run upload, we'll now see that this entire row is ready to go. And so now all we have to do is actually set up that trigger automation. So you guys have your first auto sales stuff set up. So first, let's actually make that look pretty. So what I like to do is I put all the stuff that uses the internet on one row, and I use all the stuff that we use on our local side down below it. So anything that uses these HTTP requests will be using the internet. The Cloudinary uses another step above because it uses a cloud storing service. So basically, I like setting it up like this so I understand how everything flows. And so like the Airtable is a database, so that's on our side. The JSON to video is an internet request. The sleep is on our side. The JSON to video, internet request. Airtable, our side. All right, so then you can kind of get a better understanding of how this thing flows. So anyways, we're going to click save. We're going to open up another scenario on Make because this is going to be the auto upload that you guys have in level 1. So the level 1 automation that you guys have in the Academy is the exact same automation that we're going to be using here. I'm just going to show you how you would do it anyways. So we have this Airtable, and we know that this is going to fire off of an Airtable trigger. So we're going to go open Airtable, watch responses. We're going to create a webhook. We're going to call this webhook Instagram auto sales upload, and then I'm just going to call this number 2 because I already have the first one. So we're going to now copy that address to the clipboard, and we're going to head back to make.com. And so in make.com, guys, we're actually going to start doing this automation. So the first thing that sets up this automation is when a record enters that run upload view that I showed you guys. So there should be only one record that's in that view right now. And so if we select the table 1, and we select the view as run upload, the one record that we should choose is the record that has all of the required information. And so that's number 4. And so there we go, we can click that. Now the next thing we're going to do is click update record, because when we run the upload, we want to uncheck the run upload button and check off the uploaded button. So that's how that works here. We're going to go table 1. The record ID that we're going to pass through is going to be this Airtable record ID. And then we're going to choose 2 fields. So the first field is going to be this upload field. And this is where we're going to uncheck the box. The second one is going to be uploaded field. And this one we're going to check off the box. And so if we go back into our data here, we'll see that this is checked and this is unchecked. But when the automation runs, this will be unchecked and this will be checked. So we're going to go back to that automations page, and we're going to run this test to see if that happens. That test finalized and it switched out the checks. So if we go to data, we see that it's not in the run upload field anymore, and it's back in the all data field where it has shown us that the video has been uploaded. So that's perfect. We can now reverse that because we're testing. So we're going to go back to automations, and we're going to click run script. Now this script is one that I use in all of my automations, guys. So I'm just going to copy in that code, and you guys will have it already built out for you. I'm just going to grab this code from our finished automation. We're going to go back to the automation we're working on and paste that in. Now this webhook is not the webhook that you're going to be using, right? So we're going to get rid of this webhook and we're going to go back to our second automation on make.com. And so we're going to rename this to Instagram auto sales 2 out of 2. Okay. And then we're going to go into this Airtable. We're going to choose that hook. We're going to click copy that webhook to our clipboard. I'm going to click OK. And so when we head back into Airtable, we can now paste in that webhook. And so now it knows where it's going. The only thing we have to do now is go into this add input variable, and we're going to write record capital ID, and the value is going to be this Airtable record ID. And that's what's going to be passed through when this automation runs. And so now we can actually trigger this automation and then trigger this right here, this test action. So once this checks off, then we can go back to that second automation and we can see that it was able to pull in that record ID. So that's perfect. So now we're going to click add a module. We're going to go Airtable. We're going to go get a record. We're going to switch this connection to Instagram auto sales 2. We're going to add that base in. Add that table in. Add that record ID in. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to click save. We're going to go back. Now that we saved this, we're going to run this one more time. We're going to go back to that trigger and we're going to test that action. So that came back good. And now we have this record ID with all of the information we need to now upload the video. And so we're going to be uploading on Instagram. So all we have to do here is write Instagram for business, create a reel. You would add in your page here, and then you would add in the video URL here. So right here, boom, video URL. You would add in your caption. So that's going to be the video description. And then you would literally choose if you want to share it to the feed or just share to the Reels feed. So sharing to the feed means you're going to show it to your followers. Not sharing it to the feed means you want to show it to new people. So we want to show it to new people, so we're not going to share it to the feed. We're going to click OK. And so now when this automation fires, it'll actually just automatically upload your video on Instagram. So now the front end of your entire automation is done. Now this is where it gets really fun, because this is how we actually start converting these leads that we generate from these videos into sales. And so to backtrack, if we go back into our data and we open up the video description, the video description says, I built an AI automation that turns Instagram into Insta sales. If you want access to this blueprint, comment the word start. So the word start is our next trigger, but for our customers. Okay, so this automation's done. And so the way that you would actually run this upload automation is you would basically fill up all of these on-screen captions and video descriptions with your own pitches. So I would literally make like 100 different on-screen captions and 100 different video descriptions. Then I would go back into make.com and I would run this to go every single day, once a day. Like, I don't know, 1,000 minutes. Right. And so this part's good to go. So we can save it and exit out. We can make sure that this is on. We're going to do the same thing here. We would turn this on and then we would exit out. And then the same thing with our automation, right? So we would turn on this automation so that once the row in this upload gets sent, it'll actually just automatically fire. So the way that we know that this works is if I actually check this off and we go into run upload, it'll disappear. So my hands are off the thing and it just went by its own. And that's how you know that this thing's actually running. And then whenever you find a video that you like, you can just click upload. And then these uploads can happen at regular intervals, which would be on this second automation here. And so the way you can do that is by turning this on. Yeah, so if you go here and instead of running the scenario immediately, you can literally just choose the regular intervals that you want. And so the regular interval here could be like once every day. And so let's open this up. Sorry, it's being a little glitchy here. So we go at regular intervals and then we can go like every 1400 minutes, okay? So that's every 23 hours and 20 minutes. One of those uploads that you checked will then be uploaded. And so like you'll know what video is actually going to be uploaded because you can manually go in and review which videos you like. And so that's why this automation is so powerful, because you're not just automating your content, you're also now knowing exactly what's going to be uploaded on what day, and you can strategize around that. And so all you really have to do is start optimizing your on-screen captions and your video descriptions. Once your viewers start writing the word start, for example, it'll then trigger to lead them to whatever offer you have. And so to finish off this entire automation, I'm now going to show you guys Instagram ManyChat. So let's go Instagram ManyChat. And let's open this up. So we're gonna head into this automation tab and we're gonna open up one of these automations. So I have one already built out and it's called auto send links in DMs and the community automation test. And so this one, we're gonna open up the community automation test. And basically all that this does is anytime any user comments the word automation, no code, or the word start, we send them this entire message. And this message says, hey, first name, if you want the entire automation I was just talking about, here it is. This is my free no code community, no cost, just join the academy and get started. And then this will be the link to my free no code academy, Kev's free no code academy. So then that works perfectly. So then I can show you guys in real time how this works. So we're actually gonna jump into my iPhone and you guys are now gonna see me send a comment to myself and then you'll see how this automation works. So then not only is your video being uploaded on Instagram, this call to action then triggers your ManyChat automation, which will then send your viewers right to your product or service.